The crystalline atmosphere of Kepler 442b shimmered with an otherworldly luminescence as Xyla descended from her reconnaissance vessel. Her elongated limbs moved with fluid grace across the alien terrain, each step leaving barely a trace on the phosphorescent moss that carpeted the planet's surface. The atmospheric readings had been promising: oxygen levels compatible with most carbon-based life forms, gravitational pull within acceptable parameters, and most intriguingly, electromagnetic signatures suggesting advanced technological civilization. What she hadn't expected was the figure sprawled motionless beside the wreckage of what appeared to be a primitive atmospheric transport vehicle. The creature, humanoid in basic structure but remarkably compact compared to her own species, lay twisted at impossible angles. Xyla's bioscanners immediately detected multiple fractures. Both tibiae snapped cleanly, the left radius displaying a compound break, and several ribs showing stress fractures consistent with high-impact trauma. By all biological indicators, the being should have been deceased. Yet its cardiac rhythm remained steady, its neural activity surprisingly active. Xyla approached cautiously, her four eyes adjusting their focal length to examine the specimen more closely. The being's integumentary system appeared remarkably similar to her own people's ancestral form, before the great enhancement had reshaped their bodies for deep space exploration. Smooth, pale flesh covered dense musculature, and fine filaments of keratin sprouted from the cranial region. Suddenly, the being's optical organs snapped open. Marcus Williams had experienced crashes before, but none quite like this. The experimental aircraft's gravitational compensator had failed at 12,000 feet, sending him into an uncontrolled spiral that should have killed him instantly. As consciousness flickered back, he became aware of two things simultaneously: the excruciating pain radiating from multiple points of his body, and the towering figure observing him with unsettling intensity. The being stood nearly 8 feet tall, its limbs impossibly thin and segmented, skin the color of burnished copper. Four amber eyes, each the size of his fist, tracked his every movement with scientific precision. Despite the obvious alienness of his observer, Marcus felt no fear, only the familiar surge of adrenaline that accompanied his body's most remarkable ability. He closed his eyes and focused inward, feeling for the familiar pathways that connected his consciousness to his cellular structure. The nanobotic enhancement that had cost him his military career but granted him abilities beyond human norm responded instantly. At the molecular level, stem cells began rapid differentiation while specialized repair protocols activated dormant genetic sequences. The process always felt like controlled lightning flowing through his bones. Xyla watched in fascination as the impossible began to unfold before her sensors. The being's fractured bones were somehow realigning themselves, calcium deposits forming with unprecedented speed to bridge the gaps. The compound fracture in the left forelimb sealed itself as new tissue knitted together with mathematical precision. Most remarkably, the being's pain responses indicated complete awareness throughout the entire process. Her people had achieved biological perfection through technological integration over millennia of evolution. They had transcended the limitations of natural healing, of cellular degradation, of mortality itself. Yet here was a primitive species demonstrating capabilities that defied their understanding of biological systems. Marcus opened his eyes as the last of his ribs clicked back into position. The process had taken perhaps 3 minutes, faster than usual, possibly due to the adrenaline surge. He flexed his newly repaired fingers experimentally, then slowly pushed himself upright. The alien being took a step backward, its 4 eyes dilating simultaneously. "I know this looks strange," Marcus began, his voice hoarse from the crash. "But I can explain." He never finished the sentence. Xyla's consciousness flickered as her primary processing center struggled to reconcile what her sensors had recorded. The fundamental impossibility of spontaneous bone regeneration in a non-enhanced organism overwhelmed her neural pathways. Her people had spent eons perfecting such abilities through careful genetic modification and technological augmentation. Yet this primitive being had accomplished the same feat through what appeared to be pure biological function. As her awareness faded and her body collapsed gracefully to the phosphorescent ground, Xyla's final coherent thought was a profound question that would reshape her species' understanding of evolution itself. What if they had been approaching transcendence from entirely the wrong direction?